Today I'm going to tell you why you'd be an idiot to buy this BMW convertible new. Yes, it's a beautiful looking car, especially with the top down, nice performance. But when this car was new, it cost $58,000. Well, guess what? He bought it for $36,000 and it only had 14,000 miles on it because it was a lease car. Now to me, that makes sense. Even though everybody knows what I think about a lot of BMWs, how they become endless money pits as they age. Let's face it, 14,000 miles is nothing, and this is the convertible M Series. Now, unfortunately, this version is now being made in Mexico, so I wouldn't advise buying it at all. Used new, I wouldn't care. BMWs have notoriously low resale values. Look what he bought it for. Get the same car used for a lot less because BMW resale value is always low because they have the rightfully gained image of being endless money pits. 24,000 miles himself, just changes the oil on it. The only thing that he really didn't like about the car was it came with those Pirelli run flat tires. He didn't like the way they rode, so he's put normal tires on it now. Says it rides, handles a lot better, and it's a lot quieter too. So let's look under the hood and see what this thing has. Remember, it's an early model. Beautiful blue paint job. Off the stupid beauty cover and put it over there. What do we got? A BMW inline 6, known for torque, power, long life, with a single turbo on it. Transmissions that are made in these, they're a dream to buy. You really don't need a standard transmission. Although it's got a shifter, you can shift it yourself if you want. Now, truthfully, you can't shift as good as the car itself does. You can play whatever setup you want, speed, economy, but you can't outbeat the machine. I tried at drag race places, quarter miles, put it in a sport mode, drive it. You can't get faster quarter mile times than this thing can when it's in its computerized mode for speed. Hey, people aren't as fast shifting as computers are. They can do, what, 1 billion calculations a second or something? You know, we're lucky if we can do one. Hey, who owns this? He likes driving motorcycles too, and he calls this his wintertime motorcycle. Because you're out of your mind if on the East Coast you drive in the winter and the ice and the snow, you'll kill yourself. And you can see, even though this is a northern car, do you see any rust? No. The Germans know how to rust-proof cars now. Completely beautiful inside. He drives it in the winter here. And so we got a 5-year-old BMW. All he does is change the oil. He did change the tires because he didn't like them and they were wearing anyways, but those run flat tires are crap. I don't know why people even bother with them, but we're going to hook up the fancy computer and see what's happening inside, and you'll get also an insight into how complex these things are. Now, ultra comfortable seats, I gotta say that. Look, it's even got support here. It's like an easy chair. We'll get the remote here and we'll just turn the idiot lights on. It's already detected what it is. It already read the VIN. It's that fast. Knows that it's the M240X drive, USA. Well, it's reading stuff. Beautiful black and chrome trim. I mean, it's set up. And you got a nice incorporated screen. It's not like those Toyotas where they're big and boxy and take up a lot of space. It fits more in with the car. You can see it's integrated. It's not like the Toyota, which is more or less an afterthought of a giant screen they just stuck in there. Now, being a pretty new BMW, we can go through all the can topology. So here we go. It's going to go through the whole car. And while we're at it, look, your media stuff, you can use your right hand and it clicks and you push it. I like this because the last thing on earth you really want is to be messing with the touch screen while you're driving down the road. You learn where these are, you can just push them and you can see what's happening up there. You don't need to be reaching while you're supposed to be driving. All right, that was fast. It went through them all. Now it's got 8 trouble codes, but don't start freaking out because BMWs are so sensitive. Let's see, some of these things are probably going to be extremely bizarro, meaningless, strange German codes. So let's see what they are. The central gateway module, which BMW calls ZGM. Let's see what those codes are. Okay, here's the intermittent code. ZGM, synchronization process for flex ray failed. This means it was not possible to start the flex ray bus communication. And the condition means the supply voltage, the designations of terminal status. According to the vehicle electrical system, it was not possible to start the flex ray bus within 1 minute. No function of the affected bus user. Possible solution: disconnect and reconnect the battery. It's still got the original battery. Odds are the battery's low. So we're just going to erase that code for now. Go on to further gonzo codes here. The all-around view camera. Now this makes sense. It says output open circuit or not connected. That's because it doesn't have an all-round view camera. It's only got a backup camera, and that works fine. I'm telling you, the Germans are insane. They should have known that it didn't have a all-round camera, so it wouldn't have said there's a problem with it, because it doesn't exist. I guess there's a problem with it because it doesn't have one. And here we go with another code. Convertible soft top module. And he says it works fine. And it says the convertible top module, functional limitation, tailgate open. Convertible top, functional limitation, convertible top compartment roof, floor not lowered. He said it was working perfectly fine, but if it sees that it's not open or closed at the exact second, it'll trip these stupid codes. I've worked on older ones when they broke, and it will make your head spin. I've had them where behind the seats, when they were 4 doors, there was a headrest, and modules were in there, and when you beat the headrest, then it would start to work again. Well, this is too new. It doesn't need that yet, but maybe it will one day. Rear electric module. That might be the same thing, really. Rear module CAN body 2 communication fault. Well, we'll erase that too. Everything's working. The top goes up and down. There's 3 more sections. ComBox emergency call. He's never used the emergency call system. TCB. Functional limitation of last state call. Well, he never made a call. Let's see what this one is. Siren and tilt sensor. Says that intermittently the alarm has activated itself. Well, one time he forgot he had the top down, he had it locked, he reached inside and the alarm went off. So this is how complex these things are. You need a guy like me to erase the code like I just did. Otherwise, these cars are like elephants. They remember everything. Here's the last one, the integrated chassis management. Let's see what that crazy one is. You can see it's super fast. ICM, direction of travel cannot be determined. Well, I guess he knew when he was going forwards and when he was going backwards, but the car got confused. Now, this might have had to done with the old tires. He's had new tires put on. So, I mean, we'll erase that too. Well, so much for the crazy codes. Now we're gonna start her up, and we're going to look at some serious data. Now we'll start going through the data. Obviously, the trouble codes are a bunch of nonsense. Everything to do with how the car runs. Battery voltage is good. It's charging the system. Variable valve timing system's working good. Throttle system's working. There's all kinds of information. The Valvetronic system is active and working. There's no codes, no bad data. Remember, red would be bad data. Even shows you the fuel rail pressure. And of course, there's 0 misfires. There's nothing going wrong with it. So let's take it for a spin. You think you're an idiot. They're warning you. The engine compartment is hot. And look, I love it. A real emergency brake. It isn't one of those crappy electronic junkers. It's an actual one. It's got a nice backup camera. It doesn't have the 360 degree. You can get it, but this one didn't come with the 360. I really like the 360s. They're kind of handy. And we're gonna drive it in automatic, but you can put it in sport mode. We might as well do that. You can turn the traction control off. You can do all kinds of stuff, and you can shift it yourself, but these computers, they do a pretty good shifting. This is a relatively low car for zooming around, so the giant hump that keeps water from flooding my house will go rather slowly over it. There we go. Now here we come to bumpy Rhode Island roads. Nobody there? There's nobody there. Here we go. Whee! Wahoo! Now you know why people buy these cars. They are a scream to drive. It's a 6-cylinder engine that's good enough by itself, but when you stick a turbo on it, whee! And that 8-speed transmission is a dream. That's why people buy these cars. Now, as the owner said, why would anybody want more horsepower? He says it goes 0 to 130 in almost no time at all. Why would you need more than this engine with a single turbo? I guess because people are insane and they always want more speed and power. But this thing, believe you me, for any serious driver who wants to have fun, you don't need anything more than this. But, like I say, you're an idiot if you buy one of these things new. 14,000 miles, you save tons. Nothing falls apart that fast. But realize, as I said early in the video, this was one that was made in Germany. What I see, now they're making these things in Mexico, and I would not touch a Mexican BMW. 2023 Kia Forte. Has an interesting story. The man actually owns a bunch of Toyotas back in California, but he's renting this. But he didn't want to rent this. He wanted a Toyota, but they didn't have any. So he ended up renting this Kia. So we get to show a brand new Kia, see what it's actually like. He doesn't care about long term. He's not going to have it. He's just renting the thing, right? Now you got to say, it's a relatively stylish car. I'd never get a black car because, as you can see, you see all the dirt. You have to clean it every 5 minutes. As we look inside, decent looking interior. Start her up. Everything's set up normally. Brand new car, you know, it's a rental car. It's got 19,496 miles, but look, smooth as can be. It's not shaking at all. Under the hood, it's got good and bad. Good being that it's a 2-liter inline-4, reasonable size, so it's not going to wear itself out being a tiny little turbocharged engine. Doesn't have enough displacement, but it does have an electronically controlled CVT type transmission. It doesn't have actual gears, and if you know anything about Kia and their transmission problems throughout history, well, CVT isn't exactly their cup of tea. They don't make such great ones. We'll see how it drives. Maybe it drives okay, I don't know. We're gonna test it out. But in the long run, this is not a car I'd buy and expect to last for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles. But on the other hand, since it's not turbocharged, it's got a reasonable 2-liter size engine, it could last easily 100,000 miles. I've had people buy them. My tax accountant had one in Houston. She got her mileage out of it and then decided she wanted a Mustang convertible when it was 12 years old and started breaking and got rid of it. They're not terrible cars. They're not great like a Toyota. And if you're renting a car, hey, you know, you take what's there. I did have a guy bring me a very similar Korean car. It was also a Kia the other day, and he had 181,000 miles on it, so they can run. But also take into consideration, it was all highway miles. He drove between Clarksville, Tennessee, and Nashville for work. So he'd go like an hour, 10 minutes each way. So there's very little wear in a car at highway. But even at that little wear, his vehicle now burns a quart of oil every 500 miles. So not exactly the greatest over the long term, right? Well, there's no saying how long this thing's gonna last or burn oil. He doesn't own it. He doesn't care, but let's take it for a ride and see what it does. Now we'll see. It is a basic car because you have to grab the little seat mover. There are no power seats in this thing. We'll start it up. I say, start smooth. Let's take a look at the backup camera. A nice backup camera. It's got a nice wide angle, and it's got good pixelation, too. First thing I notice, it's a quiet car, I gotta say. It's quiet. But I can already tell I don't like electronic intelligent CVT transmission because I can feel a lag in it. Not as bad as the old ones were, but still, if you just put it in normal drive, hey, it doesn't accelerate all that quickly. It's a dog if you just have it in drive, but we'll get to our little drag strip here. We'll put it down on the bottom, and here we go. Not exactly racing, but you can see it changes pretty good. But then again, it's not a race car anyway. Of course, it doesn't have any actual gears. You're not going from one gear to another, changing the gear ratio directly through actual meshed gears. It's just this illusion that their engineers have created with this intelligent variable transmission. And I mean, for a runaround car, we got it in drive now. Okay, we're going 40. Let's floor it and see what happens. It does pick up, and it gives its fake gear shift. So it's really not that bad. It's got a lot more zip than the older ones did. I'll give them that. And if you did buy one of these, you better hope that their new intelligent variable transmission lasted longer than their dumb CVTs that weren't intelligent, because they didn't last very long. But I gotta say, hey, step on the gas, takes off a lot better than the older ones did. Quite a bit better. Corners, pretty good for, you know, a Econobox car. Kind of impressed it's not understeering or oversteering. Not that I'd buy one, but hey, if I was going to rent a car, I wouldn't mind renting one of these things. And getting 35 miles a gallon on the highway for a small 4-door sedan that's not a hybrid, that's pretty much what you expect to get. It's telling you attention level. The last break was 11 minutes ago, and it's showing you that the coffee is low. So you don't need to take a coffee break yet. But when it gets longer, it'll tell you, maybe you should stop and get a cup of coffee. Gimmicks are gimmicks. You can put it in different drive modes. Here we have A+ Sport, Smart, if you really want to get better gas mileage. So there is stuff you can play around with. Simple air conditioning. Look, regular analog stuff so you can control it with your hands and not have to rely on a computer. And my favorite, this sucker's got an emergency brake that you pull on. It's not one of these electronic crappers. I really like that. Now, you got to realize, this is the lower end car. I guess they didn't want to electrify the thing, right? I like the idea. Hey, this is going to stock me when I want. I know it's going to work, and it's not going to short out in the electric motor on the electric parking brake from salt on the road and driving on the beach or anything. So, hey, kudos to old style technology that works. No sunroof, moonroof, whatever you want to call it. But hey, it's got a nice glove box to put your crap in. It's not really finished all that poorly. Black and silver, my favorite colors. Very comfy seats in the front. Nice amount of space in the armrest. And as the man who rented this but owns Toyotas at home said, look at it. It's a stylish looking car. It really is. You know, it's got a lot more style than a Toyota Corolla. It certainly won't last as long as a Toyota Corolla. There's no arguing that. But the thing is, the list price of this thing is a little over $19,000. $19,600 or so. You're not going to be able to get into a Toyota for that kind of money, brand new. No way. You know, they might have some scam advertising. Go to the Toyota dealer and see what the drive out price is. It's not going to be $19,000, I can tell you that. So for somebody who's looking for a car and they want to spend as little as possible, and especially if they're not going to keep it for more than 100,000 miles, hey, it might not be that bad of a deal. You're not going to get stuck with a front-wheel drive, 35 miles a gallon driving on a highway. It is relatively zippy, I got to say. The intelligent variable transmission is a lot more responsive than the earlier CVTs were. And sure, most people would say, I'd rather be riding around with a new Camry with an 8-speed automatic, but not for this price, you know? You're going to pay twice what this thing costs. A Genesis. They used to call them Hyundai Genesis, and they decided to make their own brand because they want to be like Toyota and Honda and have fancy brands, Lexus and Acura, so they just followed along. Hyundai's always kind of followed people around. Just check it out. Here's the Honda badge. There's the Hyundai badge. Look at it. They practically copied it. And in the case of this Genesis, there's the Aston Martin badge, and there's the Genesis right there, about the same. Can someone say copycat? Okay, they've been copying stuff forever, right? The thing about this car is they're very popular in Korea. As a matter of fact, almost every year they sell 10 times as many of these in Korea. Last year in the United States, they sold like 4,500 of these, and guess what? They sold 45,000 of them in South Korea. So it's like their Cadillac of the United States Cadillacs in the 60s, right? They never really hit the mark in the United States, right? They're not bad cars either if you understand what you're getting. Now, he bought it used with only 11,000 miles. Smart move. He saved 10 grand. Now, he's got 45,000 miles and he's done nothing except change the oil and filter on the thing. They're not bad cars. They're very zippy. They got a big V6 engine. Now, they're not going to last like a Lexus or an Acura that they're competing against that might go 200, 300, 400,000 miles. This guy said he'll be happy if he gets 100,000 miles out of it. So if you're happy with that, hey, this could be a luxury car you could get, especially used, for a lower price and have a lot of fun with it. Realize that being a luxury sedan, this baby is rear-wheel drive. And even though they call them Genesis, Hyundai makes them. They used to be Hyundai Genesis, now it's their own brand. So everybody thinks, okay, Scotty, you said they make the world's worst transmissions, the Hyundais and the Kias. But the ones that they make that are horrible are front-wheel drive. This is rear-wheel drive. These transmissions are relatively bulletproof. I've actually never seen one break in any normal usage. The only ones I ever saw break ones that were in massive wrecks and the whole car got crushed. Can't blame that on the transmission. If you're in the market for a luxury sedan and you don't mind buying used and you want one that's nice and you can save some money and it's lower mileage, it can still last some time. If this had been a Lexus, he would have paid at least 20 grand more used than what he paid for this. At least 20 grand. And if you're not the person who's going to keep a car 200,000, 300,000 miles, you probably don't give a hoot. Why would you? You get 100,000 miles out of it, you're happy driving it, get another used car. Some people get bored with cars. Me, I'm a cheapskate. Hey, this is pushing 20 years old. It's just getting broken in as far as I'm concerned. I don't get rid of cars because I'm bored with them. I only get rid of them if there's hardly anything left with them. Or if I find a really good deal, one of my customers is getting rid of a car, then of course, I'll snap it up like I did that Lexus for my wife, $3,000 for 65,000 mile Lexus. I see another deal like that. Hey, I'll jump on it, right? But I'm not going to be spending 60, 70 grand for one either. Now, to give you the situation this owner's in, before this, he had a Hyundai Sonata. He got rid of it at 90,000 miles. He had no problems with it whatsoever. The reason he bought that was because it was between that and a Chevy Malibu. And he said, Chevy still don't know how to make 4-cylinder engines or transmissions. So he bought the Sonata and he didn't have any problems at all. And he got rid of it at 90,000 miles. In that case, a lot of times you can get away with buying a Hyundai. And even though it says Genesis, it's just a fancy Hyundai. So, of course, we're going to analyze this whole thing, but to give you an overview, got a strong V6 engine, right? Overhead cams, and nice working room, too. There's a lot of room. This was a pretty well-designed vehicle. And as I said, he's had no problems with anything. He just changes the oil and filter. That's all he's had to do on his car. It's only rear-wheel drive, but he lives in Rhode Island. He didn't put snow tires on it. They have snow plows, and really, most of Rhode Island doesn't snow all that much in the winter anyway. Now, as you take a general overview, you can see pretty luxurious car. You'll see how it rides when you take it for a ride, but there's room, it's set up, AC, heat in the back, bucket of coins. I don't know what they're doing in there. Well, he owns a place that has to pay a washing machine, so he ends up with all these coins. And he just explained something to me. He uses Coinstar. And I said, well, who wants to get ripped off? They charge all that? He said, if you turn the coins into an Amazon gift card, you get 100%. So that's the gifts that he gives people for holidays. And he gets 100% of his money. I didn't realize that. So if I ever do that, with change I got lying around, I'll just get Amazon gift cards. What the heck? Okay, so let's look inside. Sounds solid. Got a nice setup. We'll start her up. Starts right up. Has the self-adjusting steering wheel. Very nicely appointed. All the adjustments you can fiddle with. It's got automatic, or you can manually shift it if you want, up and down. It's got paddle shifters on each side. Most people drive this as a luxury car. They're not racing it around, so it's really well appointed. All the leather and everything's in good shape. Sunroof looks good. So let's get my fancy computer out. Okay, here we go. We got the hotel out. Pretty soon it should read it. Detected it. We'll do standalone diagnosis. It already read the VIN. So we got to do Genesis because it confused itself with Hyundai. There's Genesis hiding in the back. No, it's Genesis USA 2018. 3.8 GDI engine. A full topology scan, so here we go. Look how fast it's filling it up. Look at that. Whee! It's almost done, 89%. And lo and behold, it's 100% done, and there's nothing wrong. Everything's green. Now, granted, it's only got 43,000 miles on it, but you can see it's got no trouble codes at all. Actually, decent cars till they get to be older and a lot of mileage on it. If you saw a video I made years ago, I compared a Genesis that had like 120 to a Lexus that had like 180, and the Genesis that had 15 to 20% wear on the cams of the engine, and the Lexus had like less than 1% wear. It'll just show you the Lexuses are better made. But if you're going to drive it 100,000 miles or less, you might be real happy buying one of these used. Let's get some live data going here. Oh, here we go, live data. And we'll start analyzing it. Remember, black is good, other colors are bad. We'll see what happens. Here we go, battery voltage is good. Water temperature voltage, there's an interesting one. I didn't know the water had voltage. It's just giving you the voltage of the sensor. It should have said sensor, because the water doesn't have voltage in it. At least it's not supposed to. If it does, it means you got an electrical problem. Information on the immobilizer system. Check it out. It even shows you the status of the health of the battery. Okay, it's 83%, so it's still good. You're not going to see something like this. It's a normal car. It's not a hybrid or electric car or anything, but it gives you some pretty good information. Control adaptation 0 because the engine doesn't knock. I'm sure it runs good. We'll find that out. And of course, total misfiring, all the 6 cylinders 0 all across the board. Okay, air fuel ratio imbalance 0. That means it's running perfectly. It's not adding fuel or subtracting fuel. fuel. Usually it's off maybe 1%, 2 or something. It's 0. So it's running perfectly. So here we go. Got a decent backup camera. Not great. I'd expect something a little bit snazzier than this. The contrast isn't all that great, but you can see where you're going. And you notice, it is smooth as silk. There's no shaking in this thing whatsoever. It's not a particularly tall vehicle, so we'll go a little bit slower over this bump, but it shouldn't have any problems. It's not having any problems. And here we go on the horrible bumpy roads of Rhode Island. Let's see how they ride. Being a luxury sedan, I expect pretty good, really. It absorbs those bumps. I don't feel it much. It's only got 45,000 miles, but it shows you. Pretty well designed. It rides over the bumps smoothly. Let's give it some gas. Whee! Hey, before the traction control hit in, this thing's got some balls to it. Now you can see why people like buying these things. When you want to pass somebody, you step on the gas and away you go. And that transmission is smooth as silk. I gotta say, it is a nice luxury car in the short run. And he doesn't care because he's gonna get rid of it when it gets 100,000 miles. And here we go down the hill of the ocean. Handles great. Now, if you did hear some noise, that was a bucket of quarters falling over in the back seat. That wasn't the car. Plenty of power going uphill. Nice ride. No, it's not a gas hog. It's not a gas mileage. On the highway, it gets about 26. Combined, it gets about 23. But it's a powerful sedan. My wife's Lexus gets about the same kind of gas mileage. You put a big V6 engine in a car with rear-wheel drive. Yeah, that's about what you expect to get. Yeah, not horrible, not great, but nice ride, lots of power. I wouldn't complain. Now, he just gave me a good warning. Turn off the folding mirrors in the winter, because his froze on, and it was a bear getting them back out. So in the winter, turn off your auto folders. But the car itself, hey, if you're looking for a luxury sedan, you can find a good used one and save 10 grand or more like he did. He's 11,000 miles on the thing. Done nothing the last 30 except change oil and filter. It still runs like a top. The air fuel was 0, was perfect. I gotta say, it's an impressive sedan. Like I say, it's a Korean big popular car. They sell 10 times as many in Korea as they do here. They only sold 4,000 something here in the United States last year, 2022. So they're not big sellers in the United States, but they're a quality vehicle, I gotta say. But on the other hand, if you're a cheapskate like me, you're not gonna get a car that lasts 2, 3, 400,000 miles. They don't hold up as well as a Lexus or as an Acura. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.